Let's get a look at some reporting though, Matt.
Yep, absolutely. So we are going to come into the report. So I'm going to come to explain quickly. There are different report sets for your different sources. Okay, so if you are a telephony user, so if you're using a PABX, you will be using the telephony reports. If you're using Microsoft Teams, it's the Teams reports. WebEx, the WebEx reports, Zoom reports. Telephony also covers off bill imports, etc. as well. So just to be clear, there are subsections here. So when we go and talk about the reports, you'll generally find that the reports are available in different subsections as well. But I'm going to start with telephony here. And on your front screen here, you have the ability to put your favorites. Okay, so some people don't know this. When you log on, you'll get the little plus button here, or you can click the edit button in here, and you can add your favorite report. So if it's a report that you run regularly, okay, you can come in here. So I'm going to choose my call information reports, something I run regularly here. I click confirm. It's now added it over here, and you can reorder these as well, put them in any order that you want. I want the call detail on the left, click save, and it's now available. So rather than me having to come to my menu in the left here and going, right, I want to go into my incoming, hunt through, find my report app, I can now just quickly click on this.
And this is personal to your Prism profile. So every single user of Prism can have their own.
Own subset.
Yeah.
So putting your favorites in there, great. It just saves a couple of extra clicks to get to where you need to be. So let's start with a call information report. This is probably a good one to start because the parameters here cover most of the ones that are going to be on all the other screens as well. So let's go through step by step what each parameter does. So the first section is a from and to date. You can choose your calendars to select a definitive date set here. If you don't want a definitive date set, you can use our predefined dates by clicking on the dates button here.
Very analytics, that one, isn't it? Just last month, last year.
Yeah. Choose your date range you're looking for, okay? Now, it could be that you go, right, I want February's, and I click on February's and go, well, actually, no, I want January's as well. And you can then come back and you can add into January here as well, okay? But again, your predefined dates, just predefine the to and from calendars. Now, the next section here, weekday. So what does this do? Well, if you don't set it, i.e. you don't click any of it, it will select every day. Or you can say, I want to see just Monday to Friday.
So you're excluding data though, by choosing that. I think that's worth noting, right?
Yeah, you are excluding any calls that are made on a Sunday and a Saturday, okay? Through the date period. So if I've got 10 Saturdays and 10 Sundays in that date period I've selected, they will not be included.
I get that there's a need for that, because actually you might be looking, you might be looking for numbers that are only answered between 9 and 5 each day, right. Monday to Friday. So
yeah, that's there. And it could be the opposite way around as well. Who's in my office Sunday and Saturdays? Go and give me all of the calls that are made on those days.
Or dare I say, who's using my technology on a Saturday or a Sunday?
Yeah. So if you don't set anything, it will assume you want everything. Okay, so we have to be clear here on the parameters. If you don't set something, it's going to assume you want everything. Okay, so you don't need to come in here and tick all the boxes for stuff. If you don't set it, it's going to choose everything for you.
Default will be all. Nice and simple.
Yeah. Time zones. Now, this is for in reflection of what time zone you want this report to be in. So if you're running it for somebody in New York, for example, if you leave it in Dublin time here, the calls, so the itemized calls, and I'll show you the difference. If I, what I'm going to do is just for speed, I'm going to choose yesterday.
Because we load all calls as UTC, right?
Correct. Everything in our system is loaded as UTC.
Which is basically GMT.
Yeah. So here you'll see that the call at the moment, that top call there, is 4:27. Okay. If I change this to a different one, let's change it to Beijing time, for example, and run it, That time will then be reflected to be in Beijing time at 23:27. Okay, so when you're running reports, you need to be clear on what numbers or what time zones you're running in reflection to. Okay.
And this is obviously, I think, more important for if you're managing reports and get a request to schedule a report. Once this is done once and you've scheduled it, it's going to remember this information, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. So that's what you just need to keep in mind is the time zones here. Okay, so again, you choose your dates, choose your time zones, and you can then choose specific times. So going back to Richard's example, do you want calls only to show between 9 and 5:30, so or 9 and
5, 9 to 5.
9 to let's go to 9 to 5, sorry. Okay, 9 to 5, right? So do you want it between 9 and 5, or do you not want it between 9 and 5, right? So you can
Looking it out of hours.
Looking stuff out of hours. Who's ringing us outside? Are we getting any business outside of 9 to 5 that will require us to expand our opening hours? Okay, so it's using that type of data there to go, right, so, I'm seeing we're getting 30 calls after 5 o'clock. Is it worth just expanding our opening hours on a trial basis to 5:30 to see whether, business improves? So you can use those as well. So not between or between.
And look, we're not here to talk about alerts today, but alerts is another great area of the system where actually you could set up an alert to say we're receiving calls in outside of our operating hours.
Yeah.
Obviously, a report shows it wonderfully as well, but it's just something to consider, isn't it? If that sort of triggers with people that, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah. So the next one is a CDR source. So this is looking at your data source where you're getting information from. Again, if you don't set this, it will assume you want all, okay? So normally you wouldn't set these here, but you can do if you want to. So it could be you want all calls from a particular source and you can come and select them in here.
Yeah, I'm sure there are examples where you would want a specific source. You might have a third party delivering a telephony service to you or something, and that's one source, and you might just want to look at that. Or normally on those ones you would, but again, when you go into each section, so if I go into Zoom, for example, it will automatically just choose my Zoom sources as well. Okay. So trees and directory items. So back to where we were. So we can choose which tree we want to run this in reflection to. So this is where, having multiple trees allows you to look at different ways of breaking down the data. So I'm going to stick with my department tree, and I'm going to come into my directory items. Now, from here, you can choose a department to run a report on by coming in here and ticking the box. And it will then add that department and only show me calls for that department. Again, if you're setting up reports for managers or heads of department, perfect, right?
Yeah, and you can search as well. If you can't remember what department they're in, you can do a search for their name. It will go and find them, and you can scroll back up and go, oh yeah, he's in that department. Okay, we find that a lot. It's sometimes difficult to find them, so you have got a search facility here as well. Now, one thing you can also do in here, so when you're looking at your directory items, there is a different way of looking at this. So this is looking at it from a hierarchical point of view. So I'm going in, I'm choosing my departments, my users, etc. in here. But what if I don't want that? What if my request is I want to run a report on extension 1234, for example? Well, you have two tabs. So you have the tree option, or you have the endpoints, right? And what the endpoints does over here is gives you some extra columns to filter on. So you can come in here and you can filter on service management again. So I can bring up that, I can filter on that, and it will bring me all of my service management endpoints that are available to me. And then what I can do from here is I can then go and choose I want to run it on that endpoint there, okay? So I can choose the endpoints then, or multiple endpoints. So I can come and select more than one if I want to.
So rather than filtering on a whole department, actually I only want these extension numbers here from that department. Or again, you may not do it by department. You may just want to, search for a couple of extensions here. Okay.
I think there's good examples for that where you might have a department that is external facing, but not all of the staff in it actually are in a hunt group, for example, receiving customer calls.
Yeah.
So you might not be particularly interested in those that don't actually receive customer calls.
Yeah. So you can come in here, you could find that, and then just select the endpoints that you want to on the report. Okay. So you've got the tree tab and the endpoint tab here, okay? And as I said, they're very different. The tree will select everything in that group. The endpoints will allow you to specifically go and pick the endpoints you want from the tree.
I think it's worth noting that in both examples here, you can have different people from different departments, you can have different departments from different organisational areas.
You can even go, I want these endpoints and I want consulting as well. You can mix and match, right? And you've got the bits over here that it's going to tell you what it's going to.
Yeah, you can pick 3 random people from anywhere in the organisation. I think it's worth noting.
Yeah, you can mix and match on here. So once you've selected your items, you click OK, and then obviously you can generate the reports on that data. On each report, though, past this point, there'll be some sort of individual ones. So there is a rate type, so you can run this data set on cost, wholesale and retail. So to explain what this is, the cost is the cost of the call, what you are paying for that call. So when it goes across your carrier, what have I paid for it? The wholesale and retail is all based around, well, what do I want to charge my department for that call? What do I want to charge my users for those calls? As an example, in some of our NHS sites, for example, within a hospital, we've all been in there. You've seen a WH Smith's, you've seen, in our local ones. Even had a Burger King in our local one. So
other coffee and fast food places are available.
Yeah. So what they do is they rent out their phones to these people. So what they can do is uplift it. So this is where the cost here is that they pay maybe 10 pence per minute, but they're charging 50 pence a minute because they need to recover costs internally. So that's what this is here. So when you run a report, you can choose one of these. How many items do you want on the report? And again, this is custom on different reports, won't always have this one, but how many items do you want? Let's say 10. Now, because I've selected 10, I can choose on this report which direction I want, so the incoming, outgoing, etc. And again, not selecting means it will assume you want all.
And look, this is a good example, whereas if you're talking about that recharge, you might only be interested in outgoing
calls. Yeah, exactly. So you would go, right, I'm really only interested in outgoing calls for that one. Okay. And when you do set it, it does tell you here that you have selected something. Okay. So you know that you are filtering on that part. Maybe you want to look at all the outcomes. So again, I'm only interested in connected calls. I don't really care about anything that's not connected. So I only want my connected calls as well, because I'm looking at sending a bit out to someone for their calls. You have initiating and terminating reasons. Again, on the Get Started page, there's a full document explaining what an initiating and a terminating reason is. Essentially, it's why it comes to your phone. So normal means that, for example, you picked up the handset. That's a normal, okay? Or it could be you picked up your handset and did a group pickup from here. Or somebody transferred it to your phone, it was redirected to your phone, etc. So these are just all the different initiating reasons to your phone and why it left your phone as well. So it could be you want to see all calls that went to voicemail, for example. So you can come over here and choose voicemail, okay?
Of course, in this scenario, we're talking about this billing example, so you probably want to, we don't want to tick anything there.
No, in this example, we'll just go, we don't really know how it got to them, where we go to them, we just want everything, okay? Now, this is a very important part here, to use the charge party. So what is a charge party? How does it work? How does it sit in the reports? So a charge party allows you to look at who is going to pay for the call. So let's use an example. My phone is on divert to my mobile, okay? Richard called my phone. What will happen is in some instances, it will look like Richard rang my mobile. Okay, so when you look at the call, it will be an outgoing call from Richard to my mobile. But Richard doesn't know that I've diverted my phone to here. So what happens is in the data is it has this thing called charge party. So in the CDR records, we know that I've been diverted across, or we've diverted him, so I should pay for that call, okay, not Richard. And that's what the charge party does, is it reflects on who should be paying for that call there. You have these additional columns where you can add on, so for example, transfer columns. So if a call was transferred, you can add those on, the charge columns and the response columns in this report here. And again, each one has a different setting here. You can then sort on this as well, so you can come in here and sort your columns, and you can also sort by ascending and descending. So, as I said, this was a very good report because it covers most of the parameters. There's only one slight different one that we would look at, which is on the incoming answer performance ones. So if you're looking at incoming reports, there is the ability as well to pick the one report, that one here, to look at hunt groups. Okay, so if you're looking at wanting to run a report on a hunt group, again, it's the same logic as what we've looked at. You just select it and you choose your hunt group to run a report on. Okay.
I think it is worth noting though, that other report you went into, obviously, because that was another incoming report, you can start excluding data by it had to ring for 20 seconds before I want to see it as an abandoned call.
Yes, so you can set your levels and stuff like that. Now, if we were to go for every single report here, we'd be here all day, but it gives you an idea of how it works.